In this video, I'm going to find literal trash and try to use my creativity to transform it into something worthy of decorating my apartment with. So my wife has limited my creative antics to this shelf right here. So that's what I'm going to decorate today. But first, let's go find some trash. My kitchen trash proved to be unfruitful. And the neighborhood trash, well, everything in there is contaminated by a stinky poop diaper. So I ventured to a littered wasteland where I hoped I would find less poopy diapers. And there I was much more successful. Now, who would throw that away? This can be useful for doing terrariums like I did in my last video. Okay, now I'm gonna look in that giant mound of rubble. I'm looking for things that have potential, something that I can throw a creative spin on or combine or alter in some way to make it actually good and interesting. Here's what I got. There's no need to buy things to decorate your places. The sun is hot. After my heat stroke, I cleaned off my treasures and looked at what I got. I probably won't use all of these things, but at least I have some options to sample from. Then came time to figure out what I was going to do with all of this stuff. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do with this stuff. That night, I was haunted by the empty shelf. So the next morning, I piled the trash onto the shelf to see how it looked. But it looked just like that, a pile of trash on a shelf. I knew it was time to get creative. I started with the beer bottle. After smashing it to pieces, I sanded down the sharp edges. I found that twisting it in some dirt worked better than the sandpaper, even though it did break the bottle a little bit more. I found a half-empty can of paint and painted the bottle white. I went on a little adventure and collected some plants and moss and some rocks. Then I stuffed a few of those things into the broken bottle. I did something very similar with the broken jar as well. Whenever you're working with backyard plants, it's hit or miss. They can thrive after being transplanted, or they can die within an hour. And I had some plants die, so I had to redo some things. One philosophy for work that I've developed is that if something needs to be redone, I try to do it even better than the original. And these little things were no exception. I definitely like this new plant more than the previous one. Now let's attack that wooden plank. I glued the broken pieces back together along with some bamboo and walnuts. I painted the bottom half white, and then I added a few stones to hold in soil. I used these troughs to plant moss and small plants, thus creating a little plant tower. I made a little terrarium out of the green bottle. To do that, I put down a layer of stones, a piece of the screen from earlier, some charcoal, soil, some moss and plants, a few rocks, a stick, and some ivy. And then I painted the bottom to match some of the other things. While I had the paint out, I went a bit crazy, as you can see. Then it was time to work on my favorite piece, the burrow. I wanted it to look like a little hill, so I glued on a tree and then added some soil. Oh my goodness. Once I put the tree back on, then once I had the tree on, I could add some sackcloth on top of the soil. This would prevent the soil from falling off while still maintaining a moist place for plants to root. I did have a bit of a mishap with the glue, which left me with plastic hand for the rest of the day, but that wasn't going to stop me. Okay, well, I realized that there was a hole in my glue, but I continued on. I glued on some stones to help hold things in place and add to the aesthetic. Then I doused everything with water before adding some chia seeds. And I decided to add a last-minute second tree. After a couple days, the chia seeds still hadn't grown, so I decided to cover those areas in moss instead, which I think turned out better than how the chia seeds would have been anyway. I topped it all off with a little plant. Now that I've built all the pieces, it's time to assemble everything together onto the shelf. It's certainly not perfect, but I think I did a decent job considering the materials that I had to work with. Now, with that said, this shelf probably won't be like this for very long. I'm always updating it as I find something or create something new. I'm definitely a fan of the bottle as well as the little planters I made, but I gotta say my favorite part has to be the burl. I like how it looks like a miniature hill with moss and trees and boulders. But let me know what your favorite piece is, or if you would have done something differently, like not decorating with trash. Anyway, if you think I've earned it, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this.